Assalamu alaikum. I will explain now the introduction and principle of centrifugation. Centrifugation is the separation technique commonly used in the clinical and research laboratories. It is based on the behavior of particle in an applied centrifugal field. More dense component of the mixture move away from the axis while less dense move toward the axis. Next इसका principal particle which differ in density, size or shape sediment at different rate. The particle will tend to sediment under the influence of gravity. If the particles suspended in a liquid are so small or have density so close to that of liquid, the force of gravity fails to sediment. Base of centrifugation technique is to exert a large force, then the gravitational force to enhance the effective sedimentation force for the separating such particles from the liquid. अगर तो पार्टिकल्स जो होंगे वो ज़्यादा इस टेक्निक में जो पार्टिकल्स होते हैं उनकी लार्ज फोर्स होती है देन द ग्रेविटेशनल फोर्स so that to enhance the effective sedimentation force for separating such particle from the material, and it is done for the separating of such repeating materials in the liquid. ऐसे पार्टिकल्स जिनकी डेंसिटी साइज और शेप डिफरेंट होती है वो डिफरेंट सेंट्रीफ्यूज फील्ड में डिफरेंट रेट्स पे काम करती हैं. In centrifugation, the particles are normally suspended in a specific liquid medium held in tubes which are located in a rotor. The rotor is positioned centrally on the drive shaft of the centrifuge. Particles which differ in density, shape, or size can be separated. Since they sediment at different rates in the centrifugal field, each particle sedimenting at the rate which is proportional to the applied centrifugal force. Next, what is the sedimentation coefficient? The rate at which the sedimentation occur in centrifugation is expressed in terms of sedimentation coefficient, and it is given by the formula S is equal to V over omega 2R, where V stands for the sedimentation, omega stands for the rotation of the rotor, and the R stands for the distance in centimeter from the center of the rotor. Omega is also known as the angular velocity. ऐसा रेट जिसमें सेडिमेंटेशन अकर हो रही होती है उसको हम सेडिमेंटेशन कोफिशिएंट से एक्सप्रेस करते हैं, और सेडिमेंट कोफिशिएंट जो है ये इसका फार्मूला क्या है, वी ओ एस इज इक्वल टू वी ओवर 2 ओमेगा आर. What is centrifuge? The equipment used to perform centrifugation is called centrifuge. Simple, वो एक ऐसा इक्विपमेंट जिसको हम सेंट्रीफ्यूजेशन के प्रोसेस के लिए यूज़ करते हैं उसको हम सेंट्रीफ्यूज कहते हैं. द बेसिक सेंट्रीफ्यूज कंसिस्ट ऑफ टू कंपोनेंट, इलेक्ट्रिक मोटर एंड रोटर. इलेक्ट्रिक मोटर के अंदर ड्राइव शाफ्ट लगा होता है टू स्पिन द सैंपल, while the rotor to hold tubes or other containers of the sample. Rotors can of three types: fixed angle, vertical angle root tube, and swinging bucket rotors. What is a fixed angle rotor? Fixed angle rotors are generally purpose rotors that are generally specially useful for preling subcellular particles and in short column bending of the viruses and subcellular organelles. Tubes are held at an angle 20 to 45 degrees to the axis of rotation in numbered tube cavities. Next, there is a vertical rotor. Vertical rotors hold tubes parallel to the axis of rotation, therefore the bands separate from the across the diameter of the tube rather than down the length of the tube. वर्टिकल जो रोटर्स होते हैं इनको हम यूज़ किस लिए करते हैं, आइसोपेक्निक एंड इन सम केसेस रेट जोनल separations when runtime reduction is required. The third type and the last one type is the swinging bucket rotor. Swinging bucket rotor are used for the pelleting, isopenic studies and rate zonal studies. Isopenic studies stand for the separation as a function of density. Rate zonal studies separation as a function of the sedimentation coefficient. Here are the features of the three types of rotor: fixed angle rotor, vertical tube rotor, and the last one, rotor balance. What is this? Thus, mass of a properly loaded router will be evenly distributed on the ultra-centrifuge drive hub, causing the router to turn smoothly with the drive. An improperly loaded router will be unbalanced. Consistent running of the unbalanced routers will reduce ultra-centrifuge drive life. To balance the router load, fill all the opposing tubes to the same level with liquid of the same density. Weight of the opposing tubes must be distributed equally. Place the tubes in the router symmetrically. First of all, we will put an improperly loaded router. To balance the loaded router, fill all opposing tubes to the same level with liquid of the same density. Then, weight of the opposing tube must be distributed equally, and at the last, place tubes in the router symmetrically. What are the types of centrifuge? There are basically 5 types of the centrifuge: hand centrifuge, small bench centrifuge, high centrifuge, and the so on. What are the applications? It is used for the separation of the serum or plasma from red blood cells, separation of sediment in the urine, separation of protein free filtrate, washing of red blood cells by normal saline, separation of the antigen bound fraction or antibody bound fraction from the free fraction in immunoassays. Basically, its uses are in the laboratories. Press enter, then run start. Wait until reaching desired speed. After completely stop, open the door and take out the sample bottles or tubes. Check whether spilling was happened or not. If there is spill, then out of the router, wash and dry it and return to its storage place. Never leave router inside the centrifuge. Also clean the chamber. Leave the high speed centrifuge door open and ultra speed centrifuge door closed, and turn off the machine. Thank you.